Hi, it's me again, Soni. I'm in the mood to run my mouth. Because I'm usually in the mood to run my mouth. Um, if you want to contact me, if you have any comments, you can do that through my website, soniweiss.com, or you can email me direct. I'm available, soni.weiss@gmail.com. I like to talk. I always like to talk. Um, this week there seems to be a run, from my clients on anger's issue and codependency. So I thought if it's bothering them, maybe somebody else can get some value out of it too. Oh, get your free counseling. So I don't want to talk about that. All right. Okay, I'll talk about anything actually. Um, Anger is can be a useful emotion. Uh, no emotion is good or bad. They're just emotions, and our emotions are messengers. They get our attention and they tell us the condition of the situation that we're in. Anger is an energy that gets us past pain. It gets us past fear. It's the energy that gets us up to courage so that we can take action. And so it's not good or bad. It's just awful, uncomfortable at times. It's a call to action. We realize that something is threatening us. We're fearful, and something needs to be done. And that's all the pain is. Hey, woohoo! Something's wrong. I need your attention. If we're able to recognize the cause and discharge it, the energy, the anger, then it certainly is very useful. But it's also a weak form of communication. As if we use our anger to get us to a place of courage where we start talking about the things that we fear, and because it's powerful and it's uncomfortable, people will eventually tune us out. I do. But people do that too much. I just don't listen to them anymore. And you probably don't either. If we're unable to recognize our pain or deal with our fear with that immediately, we can't do it immediately, and then we're going to stuff it. And that stuffing is what becomes really detrimental to our emotional and our physical health. Stress causes stress. If we don't feel safe in letting go, it's got to come out somewhere. You stuff it, but you can't keep it forever. And either we have to, do it in some kind of safe situation with a person who has less power or control over us, or in a condition where the potential for loss is not so great. So sometimes we take this out on somebody else, is what we do. The guy at the grocery store, the kids, whatever. Chronic anger will destroy any relationship, any kind. Actually, it's better to kill us because there can't be love when there's anger. It can't exist. And as human beings, we can't survive without love. At the beginning of the 20th century in the United States and the UK, and I think the Russians did a study on it too, with abandoned infants in orphanages. And they showed that almost 100% of the infants died. They withered away. There were so many of them that they couldn't give them attention, and so all they did was feed them and leave them in the crib, and they died. We all need to be loved. We all need to be touched. Years ago, I was an long-term ombudsman for the state of North Carolina, and I inspected nursing homes, among other things. And I talked to a lot of elderly residents. And one of the biggest complaints that they told me about was nobody touched them. They were old. Nobody wanted to hug them. Nobody wanted to kiss them. It was so sad. just because they're old. They've hungered to be touched. If we can't deal with the pain, we'll often find a way to get angry because we can't project the pain, but we can project anger onto somebody else. And so we put it onto someone else. We often do this when we don't get the results we wanted, or we couldn't get our needs met. So we get angry. But underneath actually is we're hurt. Chronic bickering in relationships is about this. And a lot often, especially codependent relationships, if we dealt with the actual pain, the actual cause of the situation, we'd be able to find a solution. But do you notice how people just keep arguing over and over about things that repeat themselves? It's because they're not dealing with the real issue. They're finding something that is safe to argue about, when in fact, if they would chunk down, go a little bit deeper underneath the iceberg, they would find what the real cause was. But that is probably too threatening to them, or there is no solution to it. So they argue about something like, who's taking the dog out, or why didn't you pay the bill on time, or something that is going to ruin your total relationship to begin with. And of course, it's control issues. Because of our low self-esteem, low self-esteem is an issue in so many problems in relationships. But in codependency, that's really a low self-esteem for both people involved. We require our mates, whoever, to continually validate our worthiness. We don't think that we have any self-worth. Therefore, we have to go and martyr ourselves, or go into our victim mode. And then we go in and we save this person, and then they don't appreciate us, and they feel ashamed, and we're unhappy because if they don't validate us, then we're not enough. And then we're making them responsible for our feelings, which makes them even more resentful when we tell them how much we've done for them. And this is so prevalent in relationships where you have addiction. A lot. Well, I guess probably all codependent relationships, when I think about it. It's the guilt, the shame, and the anger that destroys the relationship. Can't live with anger. Well, we think we're doing a really good deed when we go to save our person, a drug addict or alcoholic. We think we're doing this out of love, which is not entirely, it's not entirely honest. I'm telling you, it's not. If we unconditionally love this person for who they are, then we could just do the deed. We could do the work that needs to be done. We save them, we get them rehab, or whatever you would do for any person that was not your mate or your coach. You would just go out and do that without expecting gratitude and for them to love you back. That's what a social worker does. Okay. They expect to be loved because they do the job. But when we're in a self-esteem issue, in a codependent situation, we want them to be grateful. We want them to tell us that we are valuable. And if we're valuable, then we're lovable. Yeah. Because we don't think we're lovable. But unfortunately, you can't learn love. It just is. We all deserve to be loved. We're all. Well, some people don't appear to be lovable. I have to go along with that but that's their behavior. That's their behavior. But unconditional love is loving somebody's soul and then seeing beyond that behavior. Doesn't mean you accept the behavior. I mean, so when we don't get the acclaim we think we deserve, all that we've done for this person, then we've been wronged. We're wronged by not being appreciated. We're hurt. Hurts like hell. Hurts. No question about it. We didn't come in being strong to begin with, and then somebody doesn't appreciate what we're doing. Yeah, that hurts. But we can't see often that it's not just about us. You know, maybe this person that we're dealing with has emotional problems too. Maybe they don't think they're enough. Like attracts like. Okay? So we get two people who have self-esteem issues trying to work it out with each other. We get a lot of hurt. Well, they got serious issues of their own. Physical, mental, emotional. Who the hell doesn't? I don't know anybody doesn't. You know, some are just worse than others. I don't know anybody doesn't have any problems. I remember that sometimes. But the thing here is when there's a wrong, when one's been wronged, then there has to be justice. And someone needs to be punished because you learned this as a child. When you did something wrong, you had to be punished. And when we have self-esteem issues, we're going to certainly think that we've done something wrong. It's us, because we're not good enough. This would never have happened to begin with if we were enough. We have to punish for it. And because we can't deal with the pain constantly, and it is the nature of man to try and avoid pain, and why the hell not, we then project it onto the other. We start tearing them down and find fault with them because we can't deal with it. Maybe our fault. And it becomes this awful circle of blame, pain, projection, and suffering. It just goes round. It just goes round and around and around. Because we're not dealing with the issues, which is mainly our own low self-esteem. And we often stay in these relationships until we don't have a choice. Something happens. It doesn't occur to us sometimes that we've learned whatever we need to learn from this relationship, and it's time to move on. And part of the reason that we don't move on when we do come to the conclusion that this isn't working, we're not getting our needs met. You can only go so long without not getting your needs met, whether they're healthy or unhealthy. We all need to get our needs met. But when the relationship breaks up, part of the pain is coming from the fact that we think we have to stop loving this person. And maybe you did. Maybe you did stop loving them, and that isn't as painful. But if you still love this person, or if you have a tremendous amount of anger about the situation, you got to ask yourself some good questions. But if you dig down deep enough, if you started out in a really loving relationship, you know, we're talking the 25 years of marriage, and we've got 3 kids together, or long-term relationships, it's the fact that we have to stop loving them. And then we don't have that person anymore who's justifying our existence. The relationship, even with the pain and all that stuff, it did justify our existence. We were trying to fix them. We were trying to help them. Even when it started going bad, and I had one client said to me, well, I thought if I just loved them enough, and I just kept giving to them, well, whether it's emotionally or physically or materially, it would go back to where it was. And they would love me. Because that person needs to be loved. We all need to be loved. We're lost. We're lost. We need somebody to love. People need people to love. I've often asked clients, and I do not have the answer to this question. I thought I did it one time. Ask yourself, if I only had two choices, whether it was to be loved or to love someone, which would you choose? It's a hard question. Got a lot of different answers. But ask yourself that. I don't know the answer. I go back and forth. I need to love people. Personally, I do. Maybe you do too. The universe, the divine, will not allow us to continue to live in an illusion. Okay? So, the codependent relationships, almost always, they have to break up at some point. They do, because we came in this dimension to feel. Okay? We came here to learn and experience and exist. It's going to insist, the universe will insist that we stay on our path. And the goal is to learn unconditional love. Now, you can fight with the universe and the divine. Give it your best, babe. I guarantee you, the universe will win. It's bigger than you are. And sometimes we are so wrapped up in our own ignorance to not realize that actually we don't have to stop loving in these relationships. Why? Why do we? We don't have to accept the behavior. We don't have to accept the situation. But why do we have to stop loving that person that we spent so much time with, that we put so much effort into? Why do we have to stop loving them? Took me quite a few years to figure that one out, believe me. Because this person's wounded, because they're not perfect. Is that why we stop loving them? Because they've got issues? Jesus, who doesn't have issues? I've got issues. Everybody's got issues. Sometimes we can tolerate them better than others. But we don't have to tolerate the behavior. Certainly we don't have to tolerate behavior. But if we loved them at one time, why can't we remember those things? Why do we think that we have to deny ourselves the sheer pleasure of loving them? Why? And if we do stop loving, then we fear on an unconscious level we will not be able to love ourselves. We may not feel like we can be loved by anyone. And that's terrifying, my dear. Terrifying. Man needs to be loved. He needs to. We're pack animals. We need to be together. So, then, we bring the anger up. Because we can't deal with the fear. We can't deal with the loss. So we bring up the anger to cover the pain. And that we project because it's just too bloody painful. So we throw that anger back onto them. You let me down. You hurt me. I'm going to punish you. You hurt me. I'm going to punish you. And some people, my God, they want their pound of flesh. They don't want forgiveness. It's a real waste. We made soul contracts with these people. And anybody who's important in your life. We made a soul contract with them. And they're doing what they said they were. We signed the contract. So why do we get angry with them? Why do we have to punish them? So who are we punishing? Really? When we stop loving them, aren't we punishing ourselves? because we denied ourselves the pleasure of loving them. That is not the same as possessing somebody. And that's where we get screwed up, you know. What we, in our so-called civilization, we bargain. We don't have unconditional love. Well, it probably takes 100 lifetimes to learn it, that's true. But we bargain. You know, I give you this, you give this to me. And if I give you this and you don't give it to me, well, then you don't love me. Therefore, I can't love you back. And we completely missed the lesson that the soulmate came into. And that was for us to learn to love without attachment. I'm not saying it's easy. I've mastered it. I can do it a lot more than I used to. Well, thanks to some narcissists in my life. But that's what we have to learn. That's what we have to learn to do, is to do that. And so letting go of a situation that we realize is not going to work anymore, because just maybe, you know, that person has given us all that they're capable of. So the situation can't get any better, or this is all that we're capable of. We need to go to somebody else, some other situation on a different level, so that we can grow, because we came in here to spiritually grow. This is not just about existing. We're spirit and body. And sometimes that's all that person can do. It doesn't mean we did something wrong. It doesn't mean, oh, well, sometimes we do fuck up. I mean, sure. I mean, and our behavior too. But that's part of the the process of learning. So we need to give up this wrong stuff. Hell, we all did the best we could. And in these relationships that we have that are so filled with control. Control's not about love. Can't control your love. But sometimes we just have to move on. That's it. Because the divine is going to see to it that we get what we need. Now, we can resist it and we can fight it, true, and we can waste a lifetime, pretty much. But I guarantee you this: it's going to hit you with the 2x2, the 4x4, or the 6x6, because you will learn. I'm telling you, don't take on the divine. Nope. You know, if I can love you unconditionally and not ask for anything back, just enjoy the sheer joy of loving you. Certainly, I'm not saying that my human part of me does not enjoy getting something back in return, but it's not required. It's not required. That's a gift. Love is a gift that you give to somebody. And when you give a gift, you don't expect something back in exchange. If you do, it's wonderful. But if you don't put obligation on somebody else, you're much more likely to get it. And the reason it didn't work in the first place is because we set up all these attachments. And it'll never work. You have to learn to let go. Oh, I have to stop being angry. We don't have to possess people. And that's why it didn't work, because in the codependent relationships, in so many unhealthy relationships, I don't know if most relationships are codependent somewhere or other. It's because we had an illusion. It was an illusion. And the divine is not going to let us live in an illusion. And we get disappointed when we figure out that it is an illusion. It was. But that doesn't mean that we have to stop loving that person. We can't possess them. You go back and you cherish the good things, the good memories, and you mourn the loss, and you let the loss go because you can't go back. But you have to stop loving them. You know, get some good times with them. Remember those. Let go of the bad times. Because you probably, maybe you're going to run into them again. You've got children with them. And why deny yourself that pleasure? Why? I mean, it's part of growing up. We're not 3-year-olds having temper tantrums anymore. You don't love me, therefore I'm not going to love you. That's an adult reaction. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, okay? Honor the love that you have. I don't care who you're dealing with. Whether it's an addict or an alcoholic. Nowadays we're dealing with a lot of addiction problems. And addiction comes from not being able to deal with pain. Emotional or physical. It's a distraction. We can't deal with pain. So sometimes we just have to move on. We can't fix somebody else. But because we move on and we have to get out of a relationship to protect ourselves and maybe give them space, that doesn't mean we have to stop loving them. It doesn't. Because we're all interconnected. We're all interconnected. We have to love ourselves too. Sometimes maybe that's why we have to get out of a relationship, is because we learn to love ourselves. So then you can move on to something more. But you don't have to get angry. You don't have to make them the bad guy. You don't have to look for something that's wrong. What did I do wrong? What did they do? You don't have to blame anybody. It just didn't work. Fulfilled its need. And you move on. And you still love them. Maybe you don't like them, but you can still love them. That's up to you. I'm not telling you what to do. Yeah, something to think about. So I want you to do. I want you to pull up an event, something that made you angry, something, an injustice, whatever the case may be, the opposing football team. Now feel it. I want you to really, really, really feel it. How does that feel? It feels bad, doesn't it? It does feel bad. If it feels good, then you really need to call me on the phone. Okay, let me work this. But it feels bad. Now, go deep in your recesses and pull up something, a memory, an event that gave you a lot of pleasure. Think about your kids or your lover or your dog or the trip you took to Hawaii or Alaska. Now feel that. Feel it really inside you. Just feel it. Feels good, doesn't it? Which do you prefer? It's a choice, It is a choice. We all have choices. And that's one way that you get rid of anger, by the way. Is when you get angry, you ask yourself, how does this feel? Do I want to feel this way? Do I want to feel this sucks? No, it sucks to me anyway. And you ask yourself, how does this feel? So what's really bothering me? What am I afraid of? Where's the pain? And deal with that. Be brave. You can do it. You know you can. You know you can. Enough for today. Now I gotta find the off button. I always have trouble finding. Where's the off button? Can't find the off button. I can't. Where's the there's the off button. Okay. We'll talk some more. I love to talk. I want to talk about this.